So now, speaking of the reconciliation bill, this is the big thing. Everybody's watching Capitol Hill. What are you guys going to do on this front? You guys have, both the House and the Senate have passed the framework for this, and you guys are moving towards getting it done. I know the Speaker over on the House side has said that he's targeting Memorial Day. That is, just a few weeks away.
It's right around the corner.
Right? Like, it's right around the corner. Do you guys have a date in mind? I know the Treasury Department would like this all wrapped up by, I was talking to officials over there last night. They were saying that they're hoping that it's all wrapped up by July 4th. Is that a reasonable goal? Do you think you guys can do that?
I think that's what we certainly ought to target. And I think the House is, they would like to, and the Speaker would like to have it out of the House by Memorial Day. And the Senate has a more complicated procedure that we have to go through when it comes to reconciliation that makes it harder and more complicated and takes a little bit longer time. But there's been a ton of work done already, and we're working closely with our counterparts in the House on all the relevant authorizing committees that have been instructed. But as you know, the objective in reconciliation is border security, it's national security, rebuilding the military, it's tax relief, extending it, making it permanent, it's cutting spending, and it's creating energy dominance for this country. And those are all agenda items the President campaigned on, the American people voted for, we need to deliver on, but there are a lot of moving parts around it. So when they say they want it done by the 4th of July, I share that view, and I'm certainly hopeful about that. But I'm also reluctant to I always believe that you under-promise and over-deliver, and so as we look at these, what we have to get done, we want to make sure it gets done right. And but I certainly think the 4th of July, we have a work period right now. We're out for a brief period over Memorial Day, and then we're back in for a 4 or 5 week stretch. And to me, that seems like that certainly is something we ought to target.
Right. I'll tell you this, the administration officials I'm speaking to, they're excited because July 4th kicks off the 250th year for the United States. So, I mean, talk about an economic boon for the country. So can you talk to us a little bit about what are the major planks that are going to be in this plan in terms of particularly the tax relief stuff? The Democrats would call it tax cuts. You guys are just extending the current tax rates, right? But then doing no tax on tips, Social Security, overtime income. Can you talk to us a little bit about what's going to be in this plan? Yeah,
so a lot of it is, the Trump tax cuts in 2017, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is extending it. If we don't extend it, by the end of the year it expires, and that's a $4 trillion tax increase that hits the American people, $2.6 trillion of which will fall on earners, married families, working families making less than $400,000 a year, $600 billion of which will fall on small businesses, pass-through businesses. So avoiding that year-end tax increase is one big part of it. But then, as you point out, the President has also suggested a number of other things, including no tax on tips. So we are trying, as we work through this, to incorporate those elements that he's laid out as things that he wants to accomplish as part of his agenda in the tax piece of the bill. And I think that will create a lot of economic certainty, and particularly if we can make a lot of these provisions permanent. So sometimes, when you pass these things, you do it for 6 years or 8 years, 10 years. And I think what the economy is looking for right now are signs that these are going to be the rules that we can live by for a while. And yes, we're going to have bonus depreciation and interest deductibility and R&D expensing, which are all stimulative to the economy that help promote growth in our economy. So having those included, and then if you don't, I always tell people this is what happens if we don't extend the current tax policy. You would take the child tax credit, cut it in half. You would take the standard deduction, cut it in half, because those are the things that were that we doubled back in 2017 when we passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So it's avoiding bad things happening to taxpayers in this country by extending the existing tax relief. It's also adding on top of that things like no taxes on tips, which is the President campaigned vigorously on during the election.